So, this one's gonna be about Unlabel by Marc Ecko again, and it's also going to be the last episode featuring this particular book summary. But more as always after the intro. And yeah, with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. And I'm really fucking pumped to record this episode today, even though I'm not really having to record something. And I do just remember that I should probably upload the other episode while I'm talking to you, which is something that I can do simultaneously or even not. I do just have to see. But today we're actually going to finish up with this particular article, and it's going to be great. It's going to be pretty cool, and it's going to be pretty nice. Especially because I've actually read what I'm going to read today as well, just beforehand, so while I was in the train, so that we are able to go through it without a lot of, reading mistakes and all those things, because actually these bother me quite a lot, because this is actually something that I could prevent myself from doing, but I'm rarely doing that, Unfortunately, I could make it way better, but I'm quite not doing it because of some reasons. I don't know. But this episode is actually going to be for tomorrow, and I've already recorded the episode for today, but it is pretty fine, because I'm able to upload it and still talk and whatever. But, before I'm actually forgetting to mention it, which hasn't been the case for quite some time, but still, I'm going to talk about it. This particular episode is also available as an audio-only version, just because it is a podcast, which means that you can just listen to it, which also means that it is a way more efficient way to consume this 30-minute or maybe even 40, 50 or 60-minute episode, because like 30 and 40 minutes just as such, it is quite a lot, and I do not really assume that anybody has the time to sit here for 30 minutes and watch me. And I wouldn't even suggest you to do that. Therefore, my suggestion is that you go into the description if you're on the YouTube video. If you're on the podcast already, everything is fine and everything is good. But if you're actually on the podcast and you're willing to just see me talking and see what I'm talking about, then it is also a pretty nice thing to just check out the show notes, I guess it's called, for the podcast. And then there should be the link for and or to the YouTube video and or the YouTube channel. And the video is normally just exactly named as the podcast is, and also vice versa, if you're in the podcast or if you're in the YouTube video and you're looking for the podcast. But it is just way efficient, or way more efficient, because you can do something simultaneously. You could be cooking, you could be just walking your dog, you could be doing so many different things while you're listening to this particular episode. And it is also way better for your mobile data consumption, because obviously the video isn't as big as the audio as such is, which is a pretty handy thing for all those users that might just be on their mobile phone and that are just using and or looking at this video by using their mobile data. So please check out the description, please check it out, and then go to the podcast. At least I would really, 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 really suggest it to do. But I do just see I'm just a pretty... I didn't name the episode for today. Anyway, I'm going to upload it anyways. What have I been talking about yesterday? I don't actually remember, but I know what I'm going to talk about today, and it is Unlabel by Marc Ecko, and it is about imagination, which is actually the last point or chapter or whatever you want to say to it or call it. And it is a pretty nice one. I gotta have to say, just because I've read it before, I can actually say that it is a pretty good and also relatively interesting one. It is about seeing the future and being able to see the future, but I'm going to read. So imagination. The imagine factor is a function of three connected forces. The first one is vision for the future, the second one is loyalty to nostalgia, and the third one is the delta of now. The delta of now. I could actually explain it. The delta of now is actually just seeing where you are right now, and it is particularly important to just being able to see what might come up next or what might come up in the future, because if you don't see where you are now, you couldn't actually expect something to change in the future, because it's probably then just maybe going to be the exact same way as it is just right now if you don't know how it is right now. So it's not going to actually be some progression. It's not actually going to be the future just basically, as I'm thinking about it, if it is actually the exact same thing as it is right now. Therefore, we gotta have to know where we are right now. It is something really important. Therefore, just knowing what the now is, where you are currently, is something relatively important. And he says, there's no way to envision the future without the knowledge of where you are right now. It is critical that you have the mental space, consciousness, and sobriety to fully inhabit the present. Yeah, basically. The loyalty to nostalgia. I'm going to read this one, but I'm actually having a particular example in my mind. And I've also put it into the description because I've pre-wrote or pre-written the description, which is also just a benefit of knowing what you're going to talk about. It's not only going to make the episode way better, but it's also, letting me be able to just finish up with the description before I'm actually talking about this particular part of this summary. But what I immediately had to think about was, we are doing this, just according to a company or according to just somebody that is having a business or somebody that is doing something for somebody. We are doing this, or I'm doing this, because we have always been doing that. And it is definitely having something to do with nostalgia, at least in this sense, because the thing is, it is actually something that a lot of, at my point of view at least, and as far as I have seen it and also recognized it, this is something that a lot of industries maybe have to cope with. It is actually something that they're actually doing, which is not something pretty great, because when you're saying, like, okay, I'm doing this just because I have always been doing it, doesn't make any fucking sense, especially because there's probably a better way right now, but you're only doing it because you have always been doing that. But I'm going to read it, maybe because I'm not right with that assumption or with that statement, but it just immediately reminded me on that. So the loyalty to nostalgia. Neither the future nor the now can be contemplated until you have cleared away your loyalty to nostalgia and all the baggage of comfort that may come with it. Do respect history and learn from it and leverage it, but don't get too comfortable. And just at this point, it really reminded me on that, because of course you should learn from history, and of course history is going to repeat just because we seem to not learn from it, and we should definitely also leverage it. We should use the knowledge that we have gotten through history. Of course, it just would make sense, but we shouldn't just live in history. We shouldn't just live in the past, and we shouldn't just do things just because we have always been doing them. We're using this font just because we have always been using it, because there has to be change from time to time. Times change, trends change, people change, such a lot of things change. Even though I gotta have to say, like, if your target audience is like just basically not changing, even though this is something that won't work, But as I'm just thinking about it, if it would be possible that your target audience is not changing, or it is constantly liking your thing, because it is staying the way they are, which is something that might be the case for some people, but the thing is, we grow up, most often we grow up, and then we don't like things that we have liked, and maybe we like things that we haven't liked before, whether it be about food, and whether it be about clothing, whether it be about trends, whether it be about so many different things, TV shows. But yeah, I'm actually having my closet open. Gotta close this one. The baggage of nostalgia comes in many different forms. Your parents' nostalgia, your industry's nostalgia, and your culture's nostalgia. But the most dangerous nostalgia is your own. Is it actually called nostalgia? I guess it is. I'm not quite sure. Artists, salesmen, and CEOs all have one thing in common. We get proud. Proud of different things, proud of so many things maybe. This nostalgia can blind us to the future. Even more damaging, it can make us lose sight of the now, because we are basically living in the past, which is definitely something that you should not be doing. And I guess a lot of people have been talking about it before, and you've probably also heard it in just other self-help environments, I would say, whether it be a book, whether it be another podcast, whether it be just something else about self-help, self-development, or improvement. Probably somebody talked about living in the now and not basically living in the past, even though I gotta have to say that just seeing a bright future, so being optimistic about the future, is also something that is pretty suggestible and advisable. And that's why you should take seriously the concept of an exit plan. Yes, your company, so your idea is precious, but don't clinch to it. Like caring for a child, a company needs a contingency plan in the event of plan in the event of unforeseen circumstances. It's never too early to think about it. Distribute your interests, distribute your risks, and distribute your company's equity. Don't hoard. The last one, the third point of imagination, which is vision of the future. Once you sever your loyalty to nostalgia, once you inhabit the now, finally you can build a vision of the future that delivers the promise of your brand. Your vision of the future should be earned, thought for, and worthy of your creations. Not just a future of 20 years from now, but a future of 20 minutes from now. Not a vision of the future, not a vision of the gatekeeper's future, and not a vision of the future that is so far away that it is only achieved once cars are flying around in space. Vision of the future is about having the courage to dream big, but it is also about having the discipline and the focus to look at what's in front of your face right now. Because it is definitely also important, and this point just also made me think then that it really is important to not only live just in the far future. You should definitely also think about the now, because what you're doing now is important. It really is important, and it is probably going to be important for the future. Like everything is correlated. What you did yesterday is somehow influencing what you're doing today or how today is, and what you're doing today might be and is probably also going to influence how tomorrow is and or what you're going to do tomorrow. Therefore, everything matters quite, But I really have to say, and I really also have to point out that, and want to emphasize that it definitely makes sense to not just live just far in the future, just maybe in the near future, but not in the far future, I guess. But yeah, the conclusion and the key takeaways, which is actually some sort of a summary of the summary, which is also a pretty handy and good thing, so that we're able to recap those things that are really important and really interesting and good and whatnot. So, conclusion and the key takeaways. Unique voice is established only once your action overcomes your fear and once you have a sufficient sense of self. This unique voice is truthful because what you do is greater than what you say, period. Your capacity for change will be the multiple of your humanity and your know-how, which will help you adapt to life's rocky waters. Because your personal brand will be defined by more than what you make, your pursuit of a maximized emotional impact will remind you to never underestimate how you make people feel. Which definitely does matter, or is mattering, because people don't really buy products, people more or less buy stories or how those products are going to let them feel. And the last one is, this is then raised and amplified by the power of your imagination. So everything seems to be just one thing. And as always, the link to this article is going to be down in the description. So if you haven't had a chance to go through all the podcasts, maybe it's just taking way too long and whatnot, then I would heavily suggest you to check out the content and or the article on your own and read it. It's not a really long article. It is something. Like, I do not want to say that it is nothing, because there is something and it is something, but it's not really that long. It is really manageable. The action steps. Become a creator and determine what you're creating. I would definitely say that you're going to be, or you should be, a creator as well. Only consuming in the end won't work out, I guess. The second thing is work with the authenticity formula to unlabel your work. The third one is identify who your gatekeepers are. They are the ones that matter and not the gatekeepers. I'm sorry, I misread it. Identify who your goalkeepers are, which basically is your audience, your clients, those people that you're serving, and not really the gatekeepers. The gatekeepers, for example, as far as I know at least, are those people, for example, in Hollywood, which means that you actually need the gatekeeper so that you're able to get into Hollywood. And or in this particular space, the gatekeeper is a gatekeeper for. Fortunately, we with the internet are having the the advantage that there is no gatekeeper, unless you kind of feel like that your internet provider might be a gatekeeper, and or just the burden of actually having to have internet so that you're able to just post to social media and whatnot might be a gatekeeper or something like a gatekeeper. But in the end, there is nobody you have to pursue. There's nobody you have to do something for so that this particular person is getting you into the particular space. And the fourth one is download the complete book on Amazon. It seems to be the case that it is also available as an ebook. Then the third reading, which is always something that Paul Minus puts into his articles and or his book summaries, something to kind of inspire a little bit more in you. And the book is called The Startup of You. It's written by Reid Hoffman, which is actually an author that I know, the co-founder of LinkedIn, and along with entrepreneur Ben Panacho, or it's Panocha. The book explains why you need to manage your own career as if you were managing a startup business. Taking advice from startups and the entrepreneurs who run them is key to accelerating your career in today's ever-changing and overly competitive world. Well worth a read if you're looking to take control of your future and career path. The Future Code by Daniel Coyle, an essential book that unlocks the secrets of highly successful groups and provides readers with a toolkit for building a cohesive, innovative culture, from the New York Times bestselling author of The Talent Code. So the Culture Code is actually also a book that I know. I don't know if I've reviewed it and I've been talking about it, or I've reviewed a summary of it, but it might be the case. I don't know. I've went through so many different books and so many different articles. I'm sorry that I do not even know what I'm going through and what I'm not going through. Then Guidelines, which is the last one, which is basically Paul Minus' book, and it is basically somehow, I'm reading it. It's my book that summarizes the main lessons from 33 of the best-selling self-help books in one place. It is the ultimate book summary, available as an 80-page ebook and 150-minute audiobook. Guidelines lists 31 rules or guidelines that you should follow to improve your productivity, become a better leader, to do better in business, improve your health, succeed in life, and become a happier person. And it costs something like $30, I guess, for everything, like for the audiobook, for the ebook, and there's something additionally to that, but I do not remember that, unfortunately. So if you want to check out Guidelines, because Paul Minus is actually, having a lot of different book summaries on his channel and or on his blog, which is amazing, which is really great, because they are all free and they're all just really well written and really well structured and just really well as such in general. But yeah, as always, we are going through some Quora questions, or one Quora question at least, if I'm able to find it. Here we are. I'm going to reload the page, just because there might be some new answers and or questions that I'm going to answer. I'm sorry if there might be some silence, but I'm going to just read and see if there's something that I can go through, before we actually get into the next section, the last section of the whole podcast, which is somehow news related, something new that I'm willing to try out, something new that I'm willing to do, because I don't know, I have to change up things, and I want to change up things, not only for me, but also for you. What are the best ways to create a productive environment when working from home? It might be something that I'm able to answer, but I'm not quite sure. The thing is, at this point in time, I'm just sitting at home. Obviously, like you can see my closet and just like my penny board up there and my bed down there and my clothes back there and also my towel. You can see just basically my room. It is my room. And I'm at home and I'm working here and I'm also sleeping there and I'm also working out here. It is basically the room where I'm basically doing everything. Is it the optimal thing you can be doing? Just doing everything in the exact same room? Probably not. Having an office is actually something that's pretty nice, because rooms should be associated with something, which means that, and also spaces. The good thing is you can do this in your room as well. I do not think that it will be as good as, as with having multiple rooms and having the opportunity of using multiple rooms, but I guess it is fine, which means that I'm not going to do anything different than recording and working here, basically, learning, doing something from school, and sometimes watching YouTube. This is what sometimes I'm watching YouTube every single day and chilling out. This is what I'm doing at my desk. This is my desk space. This is what I'm doing on my desk and nothing else. I'm not gonna sleep here. I'm eating here as well, something to manage or something to mention, not manage, but mention. But I'm not doing something else here, Nothing else, basically. Yeah, basically, some sort of. Like, other things, maybe. As you might can think. Then in my bed, I'm sleeping. I'm meditating, I'm having sex, fabbing. I'm also doing this on my desk. On my desk as well, but this is what I'm doing at my bed or in my bed. I'm not eating in my bed, I'm not learning in my bed, I'm not listening to music in my bed. I'm doing nothing but sleeping, having sex, meditating, fapping, and everything else that is somehow related to that. I'm doing nothing else. And it is really important that you're associating in your head. It is not something that's really conscious. It is more like subconscious, that you're associating certain places in your room, if you're only having one room, with certain things. And therefore, it is also the exact same thing with just having different rooms. If you're working in your room, you should only be working there. If you're eating something, you should go into the kitchen and eat something there, because then the place is associated with working and not really resting or watching YouTube and doing some other things. I in fact could actually be doing it like this, that when I'm watching YouTube, I'm sitting down at the floor. This could actually just help me, with being productive, because when I'm sitting here, this is not the space for watching YouTube. And or, like, if it is about just being productive in general, you can also just use software so that you're blocking certain sites, so that you're actually blocking YouTube and Spotify and all those sites that are distracting you from your work. But in general, in terms of physical things, definitely eliminating all the distractions that can be there. If you're having an office for yourself, then I don't know, what do you need in an office but your PC, maybe some paper things. I'm sorry. You don't need much, and you, I think, should also not have many things in your room but those things that you actually need. You don't need much more than those things that you need to work. There shouldn't be any games, there shouldn't be anything else that is somehow related to something else but work and being productive and doing whatever. So yeah, I think this is my point on that. And because I'm just seeing my tab open there, we also kind of quickly, I do just want to duplicate this one. Duplicate this, and it is going to be named news. And the color source is not going to be this color, but it's going to be something different. The problem is news is more like yellow. Well, it is more like red, but red is a little bit like shitty, I guess. I don't know if red is good. I actually wouldn't say so, to be honest. I wouldn't really say that it is fine. Well, let's keep it like that. So what I'm seeing here, I'm in the technology section because technology is like this what I'm willing to talk about, because it is also something that I'm interested in. So why not? Why not? Google's new Pixel Buds are coming spring 2020, and they are just really looking like, if you can see there, they are looking like AirPods. I gotta have to say that AirPods, they are just, they have sold like something. They've really sold like something for a particular reason. Like, I don't know, they're just really convenient. It is not really about the audio quality. It is not really about some other things, but they're just really, as far as I can tell, I'm not having AirPods, but they are light. You can move around with them however you want to move or something. Then they are not too expensive. Like, they are expensive. Like, what are they, like 180, 150, something in that range kinda. It is not really Nah, it is not cheap. It definitely is not cheap. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to just do it like this. Going to have it a little bit bigger so that I'm able to talk here. Should be fine. They are not really cheap. I don't want to say that they're cheap, but they're not overly expensive. They're just more expensive headphones and whatnot. But I don't know. It also comes up to what you're getting for your money. I don't know if you're getting so much for your money if you're buying yourself some AirPods. I don't know, but I think they are quite fine. They are really quite fine and pretty handy, and there's just literally, as I said, a reason for why they are so popular and why they have been working. I've seen something with Fortnite. I'm not quite sure what is happening there. It seems to be the case that it is, people say it is deleted, but it seems to be more like the case that they're just trying to launch Chapter 2. So as the ESPN news here says, Fortnite Chapter 2 launches with new areas and mechanics, which seems to be pretty great. I do actually have to say that Fortnite is is doing a really good job at just keeping their players, because they're doing so many different things. I have been playing Fortnite, and I was never pretty good in it. I've actually never been good at just games that are like just solo and only one round and all those things. And I've not played PUBG, but I've also been not that good at also Minecraft Hunger Games, if you know that, which is basically like the same thing, only in a little bit of a different way. But I've always been bad at those things. Like when you're only having one chance to do something, I've always been bad at those things, and I've also not liked those things because you only have one try. I like it when I'm having more tries, like Call of Duty, Team Deathmatch, and you're just basically spawning always, and your ability to spawn always is just there. You can do that, and it's everything is a little bit more faster and whatnot. So I like that. I really like that, liked that. Because I'm not really playing a lot of games lately. I really am not. The last time I played was probably, I don't know. I don't know what to say 2 years ago, because it's probably not gonna be that right. So I'm just thinking maybe I have. I don't actually know. But I really haven't played just seriously for quite some time. And then the iPhone SE, which also they say, which is something that I've been talking about yesterday as well, seems to be literally $399. So the iPhone SE2 will launch at $399. Apple analyst QO predicts, which is insane, which really is insanely good. And this might even be an iPhone that I'm going to buy, because $400 for an iPhone that's probably going to be quite good, I at least hope, is not that bad. Of course, it might be a little bit too expensive for what it is able to do, because probably also other companies are able to just provide something similar, definitely just an Android phone, of course, but maybe even cheaper, because it's getting cheaper and it's getting better and it's getting actually insane, insanely good, those devices. And it is just insane what we are all able to do with all those devices. Maybe something else in the science space, because maybe you are also interested in the science space. I am, for example, I'm always reading just all the news, but I'm particularly interested in business, technology, and science. And of course, just the world news, what's going on in the world, something that I'm always looking for as well. Space discovery, mythical interstellar visitor set for close encounter with Earth. Yeah, it seems somehow the case that also an asteroid is going to hit Earth like in a decade or something. I've heard, but I'm not quite sure. And then there's nothing much interesting there. Venus was made of lava and was not Earth-like after all, stunning study says. But yeah. Okay, yeah, that's it. There's not a lot of things that are interested in this section. So therefore, this is going to be the end of the episode. I really have to thank you. This has been a pretty good one. The talking has been great due to maybe me reading the article beforehand, and me being prepared actually, some sorta, which actually is pretty good. It really is great. But yeah, I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself how you gotta be remembered. Which means like your legacy, which means like being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person, which is something that's pretty cool, pretty great, and pretty nice. The thing there is, and everybody is going to remind you as, or remember you as a nice person, because there's 7.7 billion people on this fucking planet, or even more, and there's probably going to be somebody that dislikes you or even hates you. But 3 other questions that I hope, now my voice is getting really fucked, that I hope you're going to ask yourself are, why are you here, what are you trying to change, and what is bothering you the most? And those 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose. And with that being said, I say bye because my voice is fucked. Please subscribe to the YouTube video and or YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the podcast if you've liked it, and if you've liked, or if I was able to provide some value for you, which is something that I'm trying to do. But I'm going to see you the next time. Hopefully, at least.